Hello there, Internet. Thank you for joining me in my leg workout today. I thought it would be nice to show everyone, for people that used to watch some of my old leg videos, just to show kind of what's changed and I guess some of my thoughts on it. Obviously, it is quite a lot different than what I used to do, even recently, but drastically different than what I used to do, in past years. And of course, yes, I certainly have added new equipment, so that's helped, but also just kind of like a different mindset of, how I approach my leg training. So, and I did actually make the effort today to throw in my numbers. So, I guess I have no shame. I can barely squat any weight with my pendulum squat. It is just really freaking hard. So that's that. I'm just gonna keep plugging away. Eventually, I will have numbers with the pendulum that doesn't embarrass me, but whatever. So started with a few sets of that. Um, then I move on to another few sets of my leg press, and then I do front foot elevated dumbbell reverse lunge, which I really like. Usually, whenever I adopt a new single leg movement, I'm really hyped about it for like the first two sessions, and then it just ends up that I don't like it anymore. But this time, I'm keeping it. This time, I consistently like it session after session. I like how it feels. I feel it's just a little bit more effective than some of the other single leg things I've done. Feels like maybe more of a natural movement for me. I don't know, more natural than all of my attempts at doing Bulgarians with various heights of the bench behind me. It just, that always kind of felt difficult. I think that even the lowest bench I had, I think was just too darn high for me. And also, I think that with my hips being a little bit twisty, I think Bulgarians just put me in a like consistently awkward position where it would always feel really good on one side and really terrible to be on the other side. And yes, I understand that's kind of the point of single leg exercises, to kind of fix or work on that imbalance. But for me, it didn't ever fix that part of it. So I feel like the front foot elevated reverse lunge, I feel like I feel decent on both sides when I do it. So, I mean, that's why, I think that's why I'm keeping it in the mix. I also do my RDLs for a couple sets, and then I do something that I call plate side leg ass or something. I don't actually know what I call it. Side ass, glute med plate side leg lift or whatever. I honestly really like that movement. I know a lot of people have said, like, don't your arms holding the plate get more tired than your side ass? And my response is like, well, just try it and see if that's the situation for you. I don't necessarily find that. I get a really good burn with my side ass there, and maybe better mind muscle connection than I get for other things. So if that's at the end of the day, if it just improves the activation with that mind muscle connection with that, so that it's fires better in other movements, then I'll take that as a win regardless. Overall, I just, consistently like it. I don't do it every session, certainly by any means, but it's definitely something I keep in the mix fairly regularly. I also did lying leg curls today, and calf raises. So those few things at the end are the things that I do switch around. I always do the pendulum, I always do the leg press, I always do the reverse lunge, and I always do the RDLs. Those are my four main. And then if it's a weekend, I'll throw in a few other ones. If it's a work day, I may just throw in like one other, just a machine like leg spreader, or my back extension machine. But those are just the things that I kind of toss in at the end, depending on time and energy. And I will say, like, I'm very happy with this. I really like how things are progressing. I like how my leg development is. I like how, I hope that this makes sense, is that these workouts are very, very taxing. I can push myself very, very hard in a safe way, but because feels safer, I actually find that these workouts don't stimulate my cortisol as much as my old leg days. Like, lots of times, my cortisol going through the roof from my previous leg days because of the stress of the movement. It would make me like feel like crap, way beyond what these workouts do. So I certainly like that. Like, I guess for like back squats, any kinds of like back squats, really any sort of those things where you want to continue progressing, but at the same time, you're like scared, like, well, I don't want this to kill me. I don't want this to hurt me. I don't want this to be very negative. I don't want to grind this to the point where it's really, really wonky. And so, like, the stress of that, I like that that's no longer an issue for me, because any of these things that I do now, because they're machine based, I can take them to the point where, like, it is very near the end of what I'm capable of. I can take them to the point where I can grind the hell out of them, and continue to keep adding the rep and adding the weight and then adding the rep and progressing week after week after week without being afraid of it, because I know that if I were to fail, nothing bad would happen to me. It would just like go on the safeties. And so like that's removed a huge chunk of stress from my leg days. And I do find that I recover quicker from these sessions, but at the same time I feel like I'm giving, 210% every time I go in, and I like that feeling as well, like pushing myself really, really hard but without fear. And that's something that I didn't used to have in my previous workouts. So that's a bonus. And now, so I will say, like, fair warning, I'm not presenting this, I mean, just because I know that there's just everybody on the internet just loves to criticize and find the wrong things and tell you your form is wrong, telling you your routine is wrong. I know that people love to do that on the internet. I don't know if people are going to say that with this, and to be honest, I don't really care. But the thing is, I'm not saying, hey, this routine is the best in the whole world and it's for everybody and everybody should switch what they're doing because I have found this personally to be super effective. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, for me, this has helped me. I really like how this has improved some of my leg development. I also just like how much I enjoy my sessions more. This, for me, the way that I do these movements and the movements that I've picked, they are very well suited for me. That's why I don't want to say everybody should change what they're doing and everybody else is doing things wrong, or this is the greatest routine of all time. It's not. For me, I might say that it is, because it has improved some of the things that maybe weren't working as well for me, or has removed, some of the things that maybe weren't working too well for me. And I mean, and again, this is something that I think, especially when you're like new to lifting and you're starting to learn things and you're watching things, I think there's a lot of stuff out there that basically is just there's movements that are considered the must-do movements, and if you don't do these movements, you're not going to see the results, you're not going to achieve your goals. And I just think, like, I think we need to step away from that a little bit, because I was, for a lot of my like lifting life, I just was under the mindset and just held this notion that, like, in order to have any kind of glute development at all, or any kind of decent leg development, I had to be exceptional at squatting, and I also had to do hip thrusts in terms of the glutes. Like, that's just very, like, if you want glutes, you have to thrust. That's like literally the expression, like, thrust is a must or whatever. Like, those two things is just thrown at you, like, you have to do them or you're not going to see the things you want to see. And I would just, time and time again, if anybody's watched me, knows this kind of crazy relationship I had with back squats, where I wanted so desperately to be good at them, or for them to not feel terrible, and they would always feel awkward, terrible, and weird. And I don't think that they were giving me the results that I wanted. I mean, certainly I would have some good sessions for sure, but, then it would turn around right away again the next session and it wouldn't go so well. And it just never was a consistent thing where I just always felt good at them or always felt like they were going well. Most of the time it was the opposite. And I just don't think the amount of, I guess, emotion and heartache and frustration and effort and energy that I put into them certainly was not coming back to me. That much I can say with 100% certainty. You really have to question that balance of how much you're putting into certain movements, and are they worth what you are getting out of them. It's not to say, oh, well, I'm putting in a lot and I'm getting nothing. I'm not saying that, but are you getting what they're worth, I suppose, is the takeaway. And I think it's really, really important to take time to figure some things out and experiment, and don't put this kind of like pressure on yourself to excel at certain movements that feel crazy or terrible for you. Excel at movements that you just feel like your body doesn't do well, or that your leverages don't necessarily work with, because that's certainly a huge component of squats and certainly a lot of other movements out there. It just could be that your leverages don't go well with that movement. So then forcing yourself to, try to excel at a movement that your body will never necessarily do in a very good pattern, for the sake of a goal, you really got to question, are there other things out there that could get me to my goal in a much less stressful way? And unfortunately, it just took me way, way, way too many years to kind of get to that point. But also, fair point is that because I wanted to keep working out at home, I didn't have the means to have the machines or whatever to use these things. If you're at a gym, there's certainly a lot more variety, if you have a decent gym anyway. And now I do have that option, obviously, because I get an awesome discount. I work for the company where I get all my gym equipment from. And so I've now, I'm lucky enough to, have access to these things that are far more helpful for me, and without all that added stress. So I think that's just kind of The main thing that I wanted to get into today is just, of course, this completely goes out the window if your goal is about strength and powerlifting and that kind of thing. I'm sure, you kind of understood that goes without saying that these are not my goals anymore. So I don't feel the need to, I guess, torture myself trying to be good at things that realistically, after 20 years, if I'm not good at it, I'm not going to get good at it. And, coming to that place of acceptance or whatever is very peaceful. And like I said, most of the time I go into my leg workouts like knowing that it's going to be really, really unpleasant in some ways, but like really, really rewarding without all that added frustration and stress. Is that, yeah, I can say that I love my leg days now. And I am seeing results, and I'm really, really happy about that. So, anyways, I really just wanted to share this kind of different leg workout with you guys, and I hope you had a great weekend. Bye.